Have you ever felt her presence? Even in her silence. She hasn't called. She hasn't texted. Her name hasn't lit up your phone in weeks, maybe months. And yet, deep down you still feel like she's there, somewhere, watching, wondering, remembering, and you're not wrong. She checks your stories when you post. She scrolls through your photos. Some nights, she even rereads old conversations just to feel that trace of connection again. But she doesn't reach out. She doesn't. Break the silence, okay? Not because she doesn't care, but because she's trapped. Trapped in a quiet war between what she wants and what her pride will allow. You see, her silence isn't a sign she's forgotten you. It's not apathy. It's armor, protecting, dressed as strength. And here's where so many men get stuck, waiting for a sign, confused by the quiet, replaying memories that never seem to fade. You start wondering if she ever truly cared or if she's already moved on and just left you behind like a chapter she closed without warning. But what if I told you that her silence is the loudest message she could send? Because every time she doesn't text, every time she stays hidden behind that screen, there's a storm inside her. Longing fights pride. Hope wrestles with fear. She remembers the sound of your voice, the way she felt safe with you, the way your presence used to calm her storms. But every time she thinks about reaching out, pride whispers, "Don't be weak, okay?" So she watches and stays quiet. And now the real question is, what do you do? This video isn't about getting her back. It's not about tactics, tricks, or making someone feel something they're not ready to face. It's about something deeper. It's about you, your strength, your silence, your ability to let go of the need for closure, and instead reclaim your peace, your dignity, and your self-respect. Because here's the hard truth. The longer you stay stuck in her silence, the more you hand her the power, okay? And not just power over your emotions, but over your time, your focus, okay? Your sense of worth. And you deserve better than that. You deserve to wake up and not wonder if you're being watched, or if she'll ever break the silence first. You deserve clarity, not confusion. It's power, not paralysis. And most of all, you deserve to be the kind of man who doesn't need anyone else to validate his value. So, if you're ready to step out of that waiting room in your mind, if you're tired of replaying old memories, hoping they'll come back to life, this message is for you. Because silence, when used the right way, can be a weapon. Not against her, not against love, but against weakness. Against the part of you that still needs someone else to see. Chew before you see yourself. This is your turning point. Not to chase, but to lead. Not to break, but to build. Quote, not to beg for attention, okay? But to give yourself the attention you've been starving for. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you won't just understand her silence. You'll know how to rise above it. And when you do, you'll never look at yourself or her the same way again. Let me tell you something most men never get to see. Behind her silence, behind the smiles, the photos, the stories she posts, like everything's fine, there's a quiet war going on inside her. You're at the center of it. You might think she's moved on. You might assume she doesn't care. But silence can be a master of disguise. What looks like distance is often a battlefield one where emotions fight for dominance. And pride guards the door like a soldier refusing to let love back in. Because here's the truth, a part of her still misses you deeply. She remembers how you made her feel without trying. The comfort of knowing someone truly saw her not just for her looks, but for her soul. She hasn't forgotten the nights you talked for hours, the way you calmed her storms, the way her world felt a little safer with you in it. But there's another part of her, the part that trembles at the thought of reaching out, that whispers, what if he doesn't respond? What if he's already moved on? What if I look foolish, needy, exposed? It's that fear. It freezes her fingertips before they can ever type that message. But it's not just fear that holds her back, it's pride. That voice in her head that says, If he cared, he'd reach out first. It's that stubborn whisper that turns vulnerability into defeat. She may stare at her phone, waiting to see your name light up, but she won't be the one to break the silence, 'cause to her, breaking it means losing. And ego is the loudest voice of all. Ego doesn't ask, it demands. It says, you must be wanted. You don't chase. So even though her heart aches with memories, even though she wonders where you are, or if you still think of hers, she does nothing. Because in her mind, the one who speaks first loses. The one who stays silent wins. But here's what she didn't expect, that you would stay silent too. Every day you don't reach out. Every hour you don't fold under the pressure. The weight of the silence shifts. She thought you'd be the first to break, that your feelings would betray your discipline. But you didn't. You held your ground. And now she's the one pacing in her mind. Now she's wondering, why hasn't he called? Does he not miss me at all? Was I that easy to forget? Is the battlefield she lives in. One half of her begging to feel what you once gave her, the other half refusing to risk her pride to ask for it. It's not a simple game of who texts first. It's a war between longing and self-protection, connection and control. And the longer you stay silent, the deeper her uncertainty grows. See, most people think silence is empty, but in reality, silence echoes. It reverberates in the quiet spaces of our minds where the truth hides. And for her, that silence is becoming harder to ignore. So what should you do? You do nothing. You stand still. You remain calm, because your silence isn't revenge reflection, it's strength. And whether she realizes it today or weeks from now, the battle she's fighting isn't with you, it's with herself. And trust me, that is a war no one forgets. Let's get one thing straight. Her silence isn't just distance. It's strategy. It's not that she's over you. It's not that she's found someone new and forgotten everything you once were. No, her silence is much more calculated than that. She knows exactly what she's doing. See, when she stays quiet, she doesn't need to say a word to keep your attention. Silence makes you think. It makes you question. It makes you doubt. And in that space of uncertainty, she holds the power. Think about it. How many times have you stared at your phone, wondering if you should send that one text? Something simple, something harmless. Hey, just checking in. Hope you're doing okay. But the truth is, even that message costs more than you realize, because the moment you hit send, you reveal your emotional position. You confirm to her, without saying it, that she still matters to you, that you're still emotionally involved, that even in the silence, she still holds space inside your mind. And whether she replies or not, she already got what she came for, reassurance. See, that's the hidden power of her silence. Slow effort, but high impact. She doesn't have to chase, doesn't have to call, doesn't have to explain anything. All she has to do is stay quiet and let you fill in the blanks. 'Cause silence creates space hand. That space becomes your own mental trap. You start wondering, did she forget me? Did I mess it up? Should I reach out first? And this is where most men lose, because men by nature seek resolution. We don't like emotional loose ends. We want answers, closure, certainty. And when we don't get them, we try to fix things, to clarify, to act. But in doing so, we give away our power. She bets on that. She bets that your emotions will break before hers, that the uncertainty will get louder than your discipline. And most of the time, she's right. Because here's the paradox. The one who feels more usually moves first, and the one who moves first reveals the depth of their emotions. And once you do that, the mystery is gone. The power dynamic shifts. And if she wanted to, she could ignore you, respond coldly, or simply leave you on read. Not to hurt you, but to keep control. Because for her, silence isn't just peace, it's positioning. She doesn't need to prove anything to you, as long as she can make you feel uncertain. This might sound cold, but it's not about cruelty, it's about influence. In her world, reaching out first means risking rejection. It means losing the upper hand, okay? And she's not about to gamble her pride like that, not when she believes she can win by simply waiting. And the truth is, most men crack long before she does. Not because they're weak, but because they're untrained in emotional silence. But you don't have to be most men, because when you understand that her silence is a move, it's not a message, stop taking it personally. You stop chasing answers. You start reclaiming your ground. And here's the beauty in that. When you remain still, when you don't react, when you hold your emotional frame, you become unpredictable. You become rare. And the silence that once gave her power starts to turn on her. It becomes loud. It becomes sharp. And it forces her to ask the very same questions she hoped you would be asking. What if he's really moved on? That's the moment the strategy starts to collapse. So remember, your silence isn't weakness, it's clarity. And in this emotional game, clarity always beats desperation. Have you ever scrolled through her social media? Saw a new photo, a bright smile, a group selfie at sunset, and felt like someone punched you right in the chest. You sit there thinking, how can she be so happy? Okay, how is she laughing, glowing, moving on while I'm still trying to piece myself back together? Let me ask you something deeper. What if everything she's posting isn't the truth? See, people rarely show their pain. Not online, not publicly, especially not when they feel like they're the one who walked away. Social media isn't a window into reality, it's a mirror, reflecting not what is, but what they want the world to believe. Every smiling picture, every quote about healing and moving forward, every night out, every toast, every beachside selfie is a mask, a carefully constructed image, and often it's a defense mechanism, because behind those pictures, when the music stops, and the lights go out, when the phone battery dies, she's alone, lying in bed, staring at the same screen she smiled for. And in the dark, the silence whispers, louder. That's when the memories come back. Your voice, your presence, the way you looked at her, not like she was something to be won, but someone to be understood. The way you made her feel safe. The connection that had nothing to do with filters, angles, or approval. You see, the real her, the one not posting, not posing, yes, still carrying something. And it's not strength. It's unresolved emotion. But here's the trap. If you reach out now, you send that text because you think she's already over it. You don't just break the silence. You break the spell. You give her relief. You give her closure. You give her an emotional release that she didn't earn through reflection or growth, but through your need to fix the story in your own head. And you lose your leverage, because the truth is regret doesn't grow in noise. That it doesn't bloom in the middle of parties or under flashing lights. It grows in silence, in stillness, in those quiet moments where the mind has nowhere to run. Real regret is born when there's nothing left to distract her from the truth. And if you've stayed silent, truly silent, she's starting to feel it. At first, she might have convinced herself, you're just playing games. You'll come back. You always do. But as days turn into weeks and your presence remains missing, that illusion begins to crack. She starts to wonder, what if you really did move on? What if you're no longer waiting? What if the man who once gave her everything finally gave it to himself? And that's the moment things change. Because now, it's not about what she shows the world. It's about what she can't hide from herself. The illusion of moving on only works when someone else is still stuck. But the moment you're not, it collapses. And here's the most powerful part of it all. You don't have to say a word. Silence does the work for you. You don't chase. You don't beg. You don't react to her highlight reel. You build your own life, quietly, consistently, and that contrast between her noise, okay, and your stillness, it gets louder with time. So next time you see her smiling on Instagram, don't assume she's healed. Assume she's hiding, and trust that, eventually, the silence will say everything that needs to be said. Let's talk about the exact moment you lose. It's not when she walks away. It's not when she posts a photo with someone new. It's not even when she starts acting like you never mattered. You lose the second you make the first move. The moment you break silence. The moment you hit send on that text that says, "Hey, hope you're doing okay." The moment you like her story, drop a comment, watch her live stream, react with a smiley face or a flame emoji. That's it. It's when you hand over your power, because in that one small move, what you're really saying without meaning to is, "You still have me." You're saying, "I'm still emotionally tied to you, and worse, need to be seen by you to feel like I still matter." And I get it, because it feels innocent, right? A message here, little like there, but for her, it's confirmation. She doesn't have to guess anymore. She doesn't have to wonder if you've moved on, or if she meant something. You've just told her without saying a word. And here's the harsh truth most men don't want to hear. She doesn't need to respond. She doesn't need to say anything back. It's just knowing that you reached out first. That's enough. That alone refuels her ego. It restores her control, gives her peace at your expense, because now she knows she can still pull you back in with zero effort. And what happens when something becomes too easy, too predictable? We stop valuing it. Predictability kills attraction. That's why strong men don't chase. They don't text just to check in. They don't fish for attention or validation. Because every time you reach toward someone who walked away, you shrink a little in their eyes. You move from being a mystery to being just another guy who couldn't hold the line. And here's the paradox. You think reaching out might reignite something. You hope it reminds her of the good times. You believe maybe it'll make her miss you, but it doesn't. It reminds her why she left, because suddenly you're no longer the grounded, composed man she once admired. You're just another man led by his emotions, impulsive, uncertain, and seeking external validation. And women feel that deeply. Attraction isn't built on desperation. It's built on presence, stillness, control. True strength is not in what you say, but in what you don't say. It's in letting silence speak for you, letting your absence do the talking. And you know what that silence says? It says, "I don't chase what walks away," okay? It says, "If you couldn't see my worth when you had me, you don't get my energy now that you don't." It says, "I'm no longer a participant in your emotional game." It's that kind of silence. It's rare, it's powerful, it's unforgettable. Because while most men panic in the quiet, strong men become unshakable in it. So the next time you feel that itch, send a quick message, ... Pause, breathe, and ask yourself, are you reaching out because you're grounded in purpose, or because you're afraid of being forgotten? It's that single moment of silence you choose to keep. That might just be the moment you stop losing. Let me share something that changed the way I look at power, not just in relationships, but in life. Powerful men don't move out of desperation. They don't act just to ease discomfort. They don't chase closure or reach out just to feel a moment of connection. Instead, they hold still. See, in a world that pressures men to always take action, to fix, to solve, to prove, there's a rare kind of strength in the one who resists the impulse. A man who doesn't flinch when it gets quiet. A man who can sit in silence and not mistake it for weakness. That kind of man becomes unforgettable, because emotional control isn't just a tactic, it's your shield. It protects you from yourself, from the version of you that's tempted to beg, explain, or reach for someone who already let go. It's what separates men who react from men who lead. Let me ask you, when was the last time you stopped yourself from sending that text? The last time you caught your thumb hovering over the send button and chose, instead, to breathe and close the app. That moment, trite, there wasn't small. It's a win. It's the beginning of something called mastery. Because every time you fight that urge and choose silence, you're doing more than protecting your pride. You're transforming your position in her mind. You're turning from a memory, into a mystery. And mystery is magnetic. The truth is, women don't miss the man who's always there. Don't lie awake, wondering about the one who still follows, still reacts, still validates her online identity. They miss the one who disappeared into his purpose, the one who became quiet but not broken, still but not weak. Every time you don't reach out, her mind has to fill in the blanks. Did he thinking about me? Did he forget me? Has he moved on? Was I wrong to let him go? That's the power of your absence. It plants seeds, doubt, curiosity, fear, and those seeds grow in silence. Not because you're trying to manipulate, but because she's left alone with the truth. She lost something valuable, something she no longer has access to. Meanwhile, you're not waiting. You're building your peace, your mission, your life, because emotional control doesn't just shift the dynamic, it rebuilds you. It sharpens your focus. It strengthens your resilience. It reminds you that your worth has nothing to do with who texts you, who validates you, or who walks away from you. And once you understand that, you stop chasing women and start becoming the man they chase in their minds long after you're gone. So here's the reminder you didn't know you needed. Every moment you don't break the silence. Every time you choose discipline over emotion, you're not just gaining ground in her head, you're rising in your own. And eventually, when she thinks of you, it won't be with comfort, so be with wonder. The man who could have reached out, but didn't. The man who could have asked for a second chance, but chose himself instead. The man who became something she never expected unreachable. That's the man who wins. Not because he played a game, but because he mastered himself. There comes a moment in every man's journey when he realizes it's not waiting anymore. Not waiting for a message that may never come. Not waiting for someone to see his worth. It's not waiting to be chosen by someone who once walked away. And maybe that moment is this moment. Because you are no longer the man who chases. You are no longer the man who checks his phone, wondering if she finally remembered what she lost. You are no longer the man who ties his value to her silence. That version of you, he's gone, buried, and in his place stands someone stronger, someone who doesn't see her silence as rejection, but as redirection. Think about that. What if her walking away wasn't the end of something, but the beginning of you? What if the pain wasn't punishment, but permission? Permission to evolve, to rebuild. It's become the man you were always meant to be before the illusion. Because that's what she really broke. Not your heart, but your illusion. The illusion that you needed her to feel whole. The illusion that love meant sacrificing your peace, your power, your purpose. And now that illusion is shattered. Now, you see clearly, you were already whole before she entered your life. And now, without her, you're becoming unstoppable. That's the mindset shift. You're not here to win her back. Here to build a life so rich, so meaningful, so magnetic that she can only watch it from a distance. Like someone staring at a train they missed, because that's what you become when you stop chasing. You become a man in motion. A man who walks forward not out of anger. Not to prove a point, but because the path ahead holds more than the past ever could. And life rewards that kind of man. Not the one who begs for closure. Not the one who looks back, hoping for a second chance, but the one who keeps going. Quietly, boldly, unapologetic ally. The man who no longer needs someone else to validate his worth, because he knows his worth. The man who invests his energy not into memories, but into mastery, not into reattachment, but into reinvention. That's how legends are born. Not through noise, not through revenge, not through chasing what left, but through silence, growth, envision, and someday, maybe months from now, maybe years, she'll think about you, not as the man who tried too hard, or said too much, or waited too long, but as the one who walked away with quiet strength. The one who could have begged, but didn't. The one who could have looked back, but didn't. The man who became a mystery, a story, a memory that haunts her, not because he disappeared, but because he became something, she can never reach again. That's who you are becoming. So the next time you feel the old version of you rising the urge to check in, to chase, to look back, pause. Take a breath, and remember, this isn't about her anymore. This is about you, your life, your peace, your future, because the man she lost, he's becoming unforgettable. And not because of the words he said, but because of the silence he held and the power he reclaimed. Let me leave you with this. Every time you resist that urge, the one that says, just text her, maybe this time she'll respond differently. You're not just holding back a message. You're building something. You're building you. Because every silent moment is a brick in the foundation of your future. Every time you don't give in to the craving for closure, validation, or attention, you take one step closer to emotional freedom, one step closer to becoming the man who doesn't react out of habit, but acts with clarity and purpose. That's the kind of strength no one can take from you. And I know it's not easy. Silence is hard, especially when you still care, especially when the memories still stink, especially when you feel like you're the only one holding back while she lives, like none of it mattered. But here's the truth. Every time you don't reach out, you grow. Not just in distance, but in discipline. Not just in silence, but in self-respect. Because silence isn't about punishing you, it's about protecting you. She had her chance. She experienced your presence, your effort, your care. And now, you're no longer building a life for someone who walked away. You're building it for the man you're becoming. And trust me, that man is worth every bit of effort. This path you're on, it's not about revenge. It's not about proving her wrong. It's not about winning the breakup. It's about mastery. The kind of mastery that says, I don't chase what left. I invest in what stays me, my peace, my vision. Because here's the powerful shift. You no longer live to be chosen. You choose yourself. And from that place, you don't just survive heartbreak, you outgrow it. You don't just wait to be noticed, you become impossible to ignore. Not because you're loud, but because you're steady, unshaken, grounded in something real. So if there's one thing you take from this video, let it be this. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to send a message. You don't need to remind her what she lost. Your silence already does that. Your discipline, your forward motion, your refusal to fold speaks louder than any words you could type. And here's the best part. This strength you're building, it's not just for her memory. It's for every room you walk into, every goal you chase, every boundary you enforce, It's what makes you unshakable in a world that constantly tries to pull you off course. So, keep going, not for her, not for them, but for the version of you that waited too long to put himself first. And if this message hits something real in you, don't just keep it to yourself. There are other men out there, quietly struggling, quietly hoping someone will remind them of their strength. Be that reminder. Share this video, leave a comment, subscribe, so we can keep building this space. It's not just a channel, it's a movement of men who no longer beg to be seen. They lead, they build, they rise. Together, we're becoming unstoppable, not through noise, but through clarity,